Hello everyone and welcome back to my opinion. And two very entertaining games took place today between Mumbai and Delhi, and then Punjab and Bangalore. Now I'm actually going to split this into two videos talking about each match. So this first video I'm talking about match 3 between Mumbai and Delhi. So the starting 11s for each side. For Mumbai Indians, Anmolpreet Singh played instead of Surya Kumar Yadav, as he was out of this game because of a hairline fracture. And Tilak Verma, Tim David, both getting their making their IPO debuts, and Daniel Sams and Murugan Ashwin making their Mumbai Indians debuts. And the other bowlers being Timo Mills, who was also making his Mumbai Indians debut, Jasprit Bumrah and Basil Thampi. So it's kind of a side where I know Suryakumar Yadav is integral to this side, but as you would have seen in my previous video, it's kind of where after the auction, I thought Mumbai Indians squad was a bit shaky, and I think both Mumbai and Delhi, despite really boasting the two best squads in the IPL for the last two seasons, you could say that they've, because of the dynamics of this auction, these two were always going to be weaker than they originally. They were always going to be weaker than they were, and they are weaker than they are, but they were, but certainly. I think that looking at these two sides, you kind of thought that they still look fairly good sides. And I think closer to the tournament, looking at the Mumbai Indian squad, I kind of thought they don't look as shaky as I thought they were. And certainly, yeah, this side still did look a good side on paper. And for the Delhi Capitals, two overseas players only, and missing players like David Warner, Mitchell Marsh, and Rick Nokia. But even then, they looked like a fairly good side, and I think that it just shows that the Delhi Capitals probably had the best squad depth in the IPL, and I think that this certainly was a testament to that. Quite a few of these players, not being bad players, kind of where it's a bit touch and go to see whether they'd be included in the 11 or not, especially if you look at Sarfaraz Khan wasn't actually playing this game, and he's been in the form of his life, so they couldn't play. They didn't need to play players like him, and still ended up in a good side with a good side. So I think certainly looking at the starting 11s, you got some. You thought you expected kind of high standards from this game, and I'm actually happy they played Nagarkoti. Pleasant surprise, because I thought them playing Delhi playing Khalil Ahmed and Sakaria, both being left arm bowlers who aren't the quickest bowlers, especially Sakaria. I thought maybe adding that bit more of a variation with the faster bowler, the right arm seamer Nagarkoti, who bowls much faster than Khalil Ahmed and Sakaria. He bowled quite quickly today, bowling 145 kilometers at times. Nagarkoti, I know he didn't have the greatest of games today, but yeah, he'll come good. And that was this side. Both these two sides, despite the fact not being as strong as they once were, and especially with Mumbai only missing one key player, Delhi missing quite a few, still looking two very good sides. And yeah, it kind of set a high standard before a ball was even bowled. So the Capitals winning the toss, choosing to field first, and Rohit Sharma and Ishan Kishan walked out to bat. Now, the opening partnership was a very good one, 67 runs, and it took 50 balls for a wicket to fall. And Kuldeep Yadav got Rohit Sharma out. Rohit Sharma was caught at deep mid wicket by Robman Powell. Now, it was a slightly quicker delivery, especially for Kuldeep Yadav's standards. He doesn't really bowl that 86.8 mark at all, really, most times. But he bowled it that delivery, and he got Rohit Sharma out. And he had an outstanding day with the ball. I think that there was a bit of talk before the tournament started. Had they replaced Ashwin? Because Kuldeep Yadav had been a bench warmer for pretty much these last two seasons, hadn't really played regular cricket at all. And from there to, despite the undoubted talent that he has, going from there to bowling 4 overs every game and really being relied on so heavily, I think that this game really stood up to things, and I thought he bowled brilliantly today. A one lucky wicket of Karan Pollard, but apart from that, he was magnificent. If you're looking at this Mumbai Indians batting card, there was only really the openers kind of made the total. They've set the platform, and one of them, Ishan Kishan, being the one to carry the bat through the innings, because there was almost nothing after that, and there was a score of 22 though, and I think that score of 22 would have given such confidence to the player who scored that and the management himself Tilak Verma making his debut, and he batted at number 4, and in my side before he was slated to be bat at number 3, which I'm sure he would do when Suryakumar Yadav is back. But the way he played today, 3 fours, 22 or 15 balls, and I think that it would have given him and the Mumbai Indians such confidence, because I thought that certainly watching him bat today, the way he went, I really think he's a very good prospect. And I think that the Mumbai Indians certainly aren't in any bad hands whatsoever relying on him for that number 3 spots. Because if this is kind of something to expect to be built on in the future, based on the innings, I know I'm extrapolating a bit, but yeah, I really think that I really enjoyed his batting in this innings. And Tim David scored 12 off 8. He got caught, but he didn't have a great game for another reason. He dropped an integral catch, and Akshar Patel then dismantled Daniel Santos for 24 runs, which kind of finished killing the game off at that point in time. And you could say there's kind of two ways you could look at it. One, I'm not going to chastise him too much, because I wouldn't chastise anyone, because look, your catches are dropped. But I'm saying also, it's not his fault that the bowling just took such a sloppy turn, the progressive sloppiness, which then culminated with that 24 run over. I think that it's not his fault that the bowling took that kind of a turn. And I just think that had the bowling towards the end of the innings been better, maybe that drop catch wouldn't have meant as much. So I think that there are two ways you could look at it, but whatever happened, happened. And the Mumbai Indians ended up in 177 for 5 on the board, and especially when they were 122 for 4 and 15.5, and Pollard was dismissed. You thought with only 4.1 overs left in the innings, the Mumbai Indians had pretty much spent this innings, this entire 20 overs, not knowing what a good score was. And even Rohit Sharma in the post-match presentation said he didn't actually think they would get to 177. And they got that mainly because of, one, the foundation laid by the openers, but even more so, Ishan Kishan, 81 of 48, an unbeaten knock. And just like the 89 against Sri Lanka in the home series, there's an air of responsibility to the things that I really enjoyed. 11 fours, 2 sixes, great innings from him. Mumbai need him to have a great season, and today certainly was a great start from him. And I think that, as I said before, the real challenge of him would be playing on the more bowler-friendly wickets, where the bowling is also good as well, and it's kind of their bowling, so they get the assistance that the wicket offers. And I think you saw in the home series against the West Indies, as I talked about before, that he did struggle with that. So that would be something which you could say would be a real test for him, but I'm not saying he can't do that. I'm just saying it would be, based on what we've seen so far, it would be certainly a test for him. But when these kind of situations are there, I mean, it's always entertaining to watch him bat, and I think that 81 of 48, he was really good today. And the bowlers for Delhi Capitals, I thought Khalil Ahmed was really good as well, 2 for 27 and 4. And you combine him and Kuldeep Yadav's figures, you've got 5 for 45 and 8 overs. Unfortunately for Delhi, the other bowlers had off days as well, but also the track veered on the batting friendlier side. So I think that 177 for 5, and both sides would have been happy going in at the innings break. Mumbai Indians thinking, right, 177, we've got something to play with, and we've got Bumrah and Timo Mills in the same team. So playing against, yes, without underestimating the opposition, playing against a weaker Delhi Capitals side. So I think that because they don't have their other players available, so you'd think that Mumbai have been quietly confident. And for Delhi, they still have a very good side even without those other players available, so they think they could still chase this down. And it's a great segue into the second innings, because I haven't seen Tim Seifert bat at all. I know he's got this reputation of being this aggressive keeper batsman, but some of the shots he played, I know he's got 21, but the 4 fours he hit, he really gave this impetus early on in the innings. Those 2 shots off Bumrah were incredible, and he got out to an incredible, he got to a great delivery from Murugan Ashwin, a googly that was bowled fairly quicker. And honestly, just like Umesh Yadav yesterday, I thought it the best I've ever seen Morgan Ashwin bowl. I regard him to be one of the best leg spinners in the league, and 1.6 crores and one of the steals of the IPL auction for me. And the way he bowled today, I know the second wicket in the same over was just a full toss to Mandeep Singh. It straight to Tilak Verma at mid-on. But apart from that, he was absolutely brilliant today. And yeah, I really think that in quick time, you've got in that one over, an opening partnership of 30 had been dented because of the 2 wickets in the end. So I think that even though they'd got those 2 wickets, Delhi Capitals with Prithvi Shaw and Rishabh Pant batting together at this point, with Robin Powell still to come, there wouldn't have been any panic at all. But unfortunately, in the very next over, you've got Rishabh Pant, who was caught by, you kind of say in a more either a squarer deep third man or kind of a more fine deep backward point, you could say, but more to the squarer deep third man. He was caught there, and yeah, for 1 off 2 of Timur Mills, and at this point Mumbai Indians would have been quite happy that they got the players, especially Tim Seifert and Rishabh Pant, the more power players that they'd bowled to. Yes, Prithvi Shaw and Mandeep Singh, yes, but I'm saying that especially they would have wanted to get Rishabh Pant out, and with the way Tim Seifert was going, they wanted to get him out as well, and they got those two. And 32 for 3, certainly Mumbai Indians were on top at this point. But again, there wasn't really, I didn't really sense too much panic in the Delhi Capitals. There was a bit of a partnership of 40 between Prithvi Shaw and Lalit Yadav until Basil Tampi kind of forced Prithvi Shaw to sky the ball, and it was caught by Ishan Kishan. And on Basil Tampi, he bowled brilliantly today, and I think that he really bowled with pace. And with the 3 wickets that he got, you look at the players that he got and the integral phases that he got the wickets in. Because Prithvi Shaw, when he's going really well, Robin Powell at number 6 was that power player at number 6. That power player the Delhi Capitals would have hinged on, that even at 72 for 4, they would have thought if he just gets going, they'll be able to get to this total. He got him out for a duck, which meant 72 for 5, and then he getting Shardul Thakur after. I really enjoyed Thakur's innings, and I'm going to get to that in just a second, because he got him out when he was really going well. So 3 wickets at integral times and getting 3 brilliant players out. I think that it was a great job, well done by Basil Tampi and Murugan Ashwin today. And talking about Thakur's innings, I mean, it's kind of in the exact same way he scored runs in tests against the likes of Australia and England, really playing classical shots. But I mean, especially the straight drive, the lofted straight drive he hit off Jasprit Bumrah. I think that kind of opened the door to really starting off the heist to really steal victory from the jaws of defeat. I think that was kind of really inspirational, I thought, from Shardul Thakur. 22 off 11, the way he played it, really a classical innings, but really at a great rate. And in the end was dismissed by Basil Tampi. 106 for 4, and you still kind of thought Mumbai Indians at this point were inching closer and closer, but the batting depth of the Delhi Capitals just could not be ignored, and I really think it forced them to not have much panic at all. They were always in the game, and Lalit Yadav and Akshar Patel really, that partnership just blossomed to take their side home. Lalit Yadav, an outstanding innings for him, because 19 of 26 he was, and then scores 29 runs of the next 12 balls, along with Akshar Patel scoring 38 of 17. The bowling got sloppier and sloppier, and the batsmen just kept on picking off 4s and 6s. And just culminated in the end. Yes, there was a drop catch as well of Tim David of Akshar Patel, and then he chucked the ball to the stumps. Basil Tampi, you could have thought, could have run him out as well. So 2 opportunities in the same ball to dismiss Akshar Patel. And I think that then afterwards, that 24-run over just happened. The ball just was hit for 6s, and in the end, the Delhi Capitals winning in the next over when Akshar Patel played that leg stump Yorker kind of delivery, but was way too wide on the leg stump. Played it past that short fine leg fielder for 4 to wrap up a magnificent win for a half second string Delhi Capitals against a team like Mumbai only missing one key player as compared to the Capitals who are missing a few. I really think that it just, this mentality that this team have got, and I just think the 11 itself, even this 11, was quite a good one, the one that they fielded, highlighting their squad depth. To the mentality, the winning mentality that they've got ever since they were kind of created in 2019. They've been an imperious side in the IPL, and they deserve to win this game. So, and what was great for Delhi was honestly the Mumbai Indians. Their two domestic bowlers had a really good day out, but apart from that, Bumrah had a rare off day. Mills wasn't too bad, and I actually thought in hindsight, and I still thought even then, maybe leaving Daniel Sams with the last over and Mills bowling in the over that he bowled, and then Bumrah bowling afterwards would have created a bit more pressure, because even then 28 off 18 balls to win. So they could have forced a bit of scoreboard pressure despite the fact the batsmen were fully set by then. But I'm getting to Daniel Sams now, because I don't mind about 4 bowlers of this attack. I mean, I talked about the fact that I thought MI looked a bit shaky before, and then afterwards I thought they didn't look as shaky as I thought they did. And certainly with 4 of these bowlers, you've got Bumrah, Basil Tampi the way he bowled today, Murugan Ashwin the way he bowled today, and then Timor Mills. I mean, that's a very good 4 out of 5 main bowlers. But then the problem is, right, and I feel bad for Mumbai in the situation, because as I've said before, they bought Hardik Pandya and Krunal Pandya replacements, knowing that they weren't actually the replacements. And what I mean is, you could say power hitting wise, they've got Tim David and Karan Pollard, but if you're looking at seam bowling and the spin bowling, or the all-rounders that can bowl seam, bowl spin, they've got Daniel Sams and Fabian Allen. Not only with them both being overseas players, the other issue was that they've played Daniel Sams in the side to give them balance, because especially with the conditions they're playing in, way more friendly to seamers than it is for spinners. And so playing someone at number 7 who can bat, can hit a long ball, and plus gives you overs as well of left arm seam bowling, along with, especially in this 11, playing 4 seamers and 1 spinner. I think that's the reason why they would have bought Daniel Sams. And this is the thing here, right? And Simon Dawes said this as well. They bought him to provide balance to the side, but his economy rate, his base economy rate, I think in international cricket, he hasn't played too much international cricket, but his base economy rate is 12 and over. And every time I've seen him bowl, he's been expensive. If you look at his record, he has quite a high economy rate, and like Simon Dawes said, I think 12 and over in international cricket. And this isn't only him here. You've got players like Romario Shepherd, both for an incredible amount of money. For what? I mean, the way he bowled against India, you kind of just thought, yes, he swung the ball. It hits all over the place. And just because you can hit a long ball, you just pay that amount of money for him. And because, despite whatever 11 I said for SRH, because they don't really have that, yes, they have Abdul Samad, but because they don't have that brute force of a power hitter at number 6, they may even play Romario Shepherd, despite the fact that he goes at 10 or 11 in terms of his economy rate, just because of how long of a ball he can hit, which I just find absurd. Performance of Pat Cummins, I remember in the first leg of last season's IPL, 83 of 35, yeah, sure, but then you've just given runs in the first innings to make your team chase that high score in the first place. And Sam Curran for quite a few times as well, which is the reason why I think at sometimes it worked for him at CSK, but at those times he had good figures with the ball. I think that despite whatever he offered with the bat, because of the fact that he wasn't as great with the ball in quite a few occasions, that really was what hurt his chances of really being retained for the long term, or not even retained, but even brought back for the long term. And I think that you look at players like these, Dean Smith today, right? Okay, 25 of 8 balls, but then 52 and 4 overs. So it's just kind of him being the reason why they were chasing above 200 in the first place in the next game. So I think that you've got the examples of players that they're played at that number 7 role. I know Dean Smith played at number 6 today, but They play that kind of number 7 role most of the time, just because they can hit a long ball and provide a balance to the side. Whereas in this case, it is just kind of provided a bit of balance to the outcome, because 72 for 5, and then 57 runs and 4 overs, and then they just get over the line. And what I'm trying to say is, because of his base economy rate at 12, this isn't even an off day, because even at his par day, he would concede 48 runs in 4 overs. So, and the fact that he's only conceded 9 runs more than what he usually do theoretically, if you're looking at his international economy rate, it's just ridiculous expecting, especially putting 4 overs of him. It just seems ridiculous in batting friendly conditions. I just think that it's just the fact that what you've got at that 72 for 5, you had Prithvi Shaw, Tim Seifert, Rishabh Pant, Rodman Powell all back in the heart. I know Delhi Capitals have quite deep squad depth, but just imagine if those players had some more contributions. This game would have been over even before it was, and it was over with 1 and a bit overs. It was over with 10 balls to spare after being 72 for 5. So I just think that Mumbai Indians, with 4 of those bowlers, I think they're fine. But with Daniel Sams, I'm sorry. And this may sound harsh here, but this is the truth, right? This isn't even an off day, as I said, and it's almost like you're looking at this someone who they've played to offer the batting, but also more of a seam bowling, considering the conditions that they're playing in. And it's kind of like, yes, he offers that, but you look at the runs he's giving, it's almost like you'd rather bowl anyone else, whether they'll be a seamer or a spinner, as long as they don't give the runs that Daniel Sams consistently seems to give. And that's why I'm saying, I know they may not want to do this, but they have 3 seamers. They have a spinner, and I know he's a bit of a work in progress spinner, but certainly wouldn't give as many runs as Daniel Sams does. And before I actually talk about the player who I think they may want to get in, or I would think of getting in, if Kieron Pollard bowled 1 over in this game and he bowled this 1 over, even he would not have conceded 24. He's been fairly expensive with the ball in the last few years, for quite some years now, and yet even he would not. I would even rather bowl him than. I mean, I just don't understand how a main bowler bowling 4 overs, just consistently giving runs so many times and just being played well because he hit 160 today. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And I know they would, considering the conditions, they would want to play more seamers. Mumbai Indians, they've had a few spinners like last time, Krunal, Jayant Yadav, Rahul Chahar, but they're not these articulate spinners. They're quite good ones, especially when you're, for example, the heist they pulled off in Chennai against KKR and Sunrisers Hyderabad. But they are more, they like to experiment with the pace more, and they don't have these articulate kind of Kuldeep Yadav kind of spinners. And what I think they should do, and I think it actually may work, certainly because he won't give 57 runs anyway, I think, Fabian Allen instead of Daniel Sams. What that will do is it will give you that batting depth even more than Daniel Sams would have given you, and it gives you that second spin bowler option. And so it's almost, first of all, he probably won't give 57 runs, and also he may, for example, in the Wankhede Stadium, there wasn't too much turmoil. There was, they were slightly on the slower side in that first game of this tournament. Maybe in those situations, if you've got Morgan Ashwin and Fabian Allen, it won't be too bad. And Fabian Allen's bowling is also a bit work in progress. But when there are conditions that are on the slower side, there's something there, even not too much of the spinners, you may get some goods out of him. And certainly overall, you get more of an impact, I feel, than you get from Daniel Sams. And what they could do, and I don't understand, and I hope that they probably shouldn't do this because it'll be too much of a risk in the batting, but they've got a brilliant top 6. What they could do is play Morgan Ashwin can bat, and what I think is, if he plays at number 7 and you play the extra overseas seamer instead of Daniel Sams, you've got Riley Meredith, Timo Mills, Jasprit Bumrah, Basil Thampi, Morgan Ashwin. And that is honestly, if you wanted to go down that route, you could. I think that is honestly a brilliant attack, yes, but you also, the batting will be even more thin than it actually is. The batsmen are really good, but the bowlers don't bat. And I think if we're going to show that number 8, it still would have been a bit of a stretch, but he still can't bat. So it wouldn't have been as bad. But certainly, I think you may think, okay, that there wouldn't be much batting depth, but also bowlers, the bowlers shouldn't concede so many runs kind of on a regular basis. Daniel Sams does. So after all, what he gives you with the bat, with that 1-6 is just irrelevant. So you may as well just get your batsmen to get the runs and then your bowlers to bowl. And it may put some more pressure on the batsmen, but they're gonna have to just get the runs anyway. And also, what that does is if they do fire and they get that score, they've got a bowling attack that they're much more confident in if everyone fires on the day to defend the score. So this may create Mumbai Indians in a bit of a seesaw kind of team. It's a fairly on a knife edge just to see whether they've got that they're in control or they're vulnerable. And I don't think that they would do this, and maybe they shouldn't. But I'm sorry, I just don't see what Daniel Sams, because those 1 or 2 sixes that he hits won't do anything in terms of the runs he gives with the ball, and the game would be lost or won with what he does with the ball. So I just think that just a bit ridiculous. I understand the balance and everything, but is it really worth it? So yeah, that's on the Mumbai Indians. The Delhi Capitals will only improve from here. Mumbai Indians' batting with Suryakumar Yadav will only improve as well, but they're bowling. They're going to have to make do with what they have. And the Capitals, honestly, what a brilliant win from them. And yeah, I'll talk about the next game in the next video. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and please share this video with your friends. And remember, this is my opinion. What's yours?